Is Toyota's truck reliability going down the drain? We have massive recalls for the Tacoma, but also on the Tundra, the Sequoia, and the LX, and Land Cruiser 300 for that matter, as well as the kids are losing their mind. Are Toyota fans also losing their mind over these recalls and the lack of faith in Toyota body-on-frame trucks? What is going on? Let's get into it. Before we get into this, if you still believe Toyota is one of the most reliable automakers on the planet, smash a like button. I believe that they are. Every automaker has recalls, but this is a bit concerning. But check out what's going on. We're seeing recalls of over more than 400,000 on the seemingly bulletproof Tacoma over loose part concerns. And these recalls cover certain Tacoma vehicles from 2022 to 2023. This is crazy because the Tacoma at that point in time, in theory, completely reliable, completely bulletproof. It was late in its product cycle. And typically when you have cars, trucks late in their product cycle, they've ironed out all the potential issues. These issues in theory should have been fixed at one point in time, but let's dig into this to see exactly what's going on. And just keep in mind, we'll cover this recall as well for the more expensive F platform vehicle recalls for Toyota. We'll get into the sales and export, not only Toyota, but for Mazda, Honda, not Infiniti, Nissan, and Subaru. So the rest of the Japanese automakers, we'll get into their exports and sales for 2024 January, because it's looking pretty good for most of them, which is exciting, right? We want these companies to do well. I mean, actually, I could care less, but I want them all to go on and be competitive. How about that? I want them all to do well and be competitive so we have better vehicles. If Toyota is or Tesla's the last automaker left on the planet, right, we're all screwed at that point. All right, so let's get into this. Let's get back to these recalls. Over 400,000 are affected globally, but in the United States, 381,000 are affected from 2022 to 2023 model year. Here's the explanation. Toyota said Tuesday in a press release, welding debris left on the ends of the rear axle assembly during manufacturing could cause certain retaining nuts to loosen over time and eventually fall off, potentially causing a part to separate from the axle. If separation occurs, this can affect vehicle stability and brake performance, increasing the risk of a crash. I remember this being a thing on the new Tundra as well. I remember there being loose nuts. As a result, they had to recall the new Tundra for loose nuts. And well, we're getting loose nuts again. Toyota did not comment whether the automaker was aware of any injuries, crashes, or deaths related to the issue. To fix a defect, dealers will inspect the rear axle assembly and tighten the retaining nuts. If the axle components are damaged because of the defect, they will be repaired or replaced. Toyota will start notifying customers in late April. In the meantime, hopefully your nuts don't fall off. Tacoma recalls come after the Japanese automaker last week said it was recalling more than 280,000 pickup and SUVs. So let's switch over to that right now. So over at cars.com, they compile all the recalls throughout the United States. So if you think it's just Toyota getting recalls, guys, no, pump the brakes. Over 100K Mercedes-Benz, a bunch of Jeeps recalled. There's the Toyota recall. We have 260,000 Volkswagen and Audis, 79,000 BMWs, Ford, Jeep again, Hyundai. So the list goes on. Recalls are happening all the time. This is a big one for Honda, 750,000 over faulty airbags, right? We've heard the airbag one for years now. But what are the 280,000 being affected for this transmission issue? And this transmission issue allows affected vehicles to roll inadvertently. That's a nightmare. You might have to start putting blocks under your Tundra and Sequoias and LXs and Land Cruiser 300. All right, so they're 2022 to 2024 Tundras and LX 600s and model year 23 to 2024 Sequoias. Parts of the transmission may not immediately disengage when the vehicle is shifted to neutral. When the brakes are not applied, engine power can still transfer to the wheels, allowing the vehicle to creep at a low speed on flat surfaces and increasing the risk of a crash. All right, there will be an update to transmission software for free here. And again, by late April, just hope your vehicle doesn't slip and inadvertently roll forward or backwards. But again, I want to see you guys comment down below. Are you worried about the reliability of Toyota trucks in the 2020s? That's up for you to decide, and we're going to get into the sales, production, exports for January for Toyota. And we'll just go to Yahoo Finance because I don't want to download the spreadsheet at the official Toyota page and put you guys to sleep like I normally do. But Toyota's global output rises 7% in January compared to the January before in 2023. This is 13 straight months of gains for Toyota. Remember, in 2023, the calendar year, they smashed all-time sales records, all-time production records. The output was over 740,000 units, and worldwide sales rose 11%. So production was 7%, sales were 11% up. US sales surged 23% in January. Europe went up 2%, offsetting the sharp 14% in domestic sales. So sales are actually dropping off in Japan. They will probably rebound, but Japan's economy is not in a very strong place. Now in China, sales jumped 39%, but they had more days to sell in China in the month of January. They say due to dealers selling more cars on more days than last year due to the Chinese New Year related calendar changes. And Toyota is saying competition in China is getting more and more difficult. What about Mazda? How are they doing? Holy cow. Domestic, just like it was for Toyota, domestic production was down 18%. Overseas production up 13%. Overall global production is down 8%, right? Because they create a ton of their vehicles, or the majority, I should say, in Japan. Their domestic sales are really, really bad for passenger vehicles. Overall, it's down 34%. Much harder hit than a Toyota was. If we go back to Toyota, they were down 14% in domestic sales, Mazda down 33%. But let's look at global sales. So they're down 33% in Japan, but they're up 32% in the United States, up 220% in China. Again, those numbers are a little out of whack because of the more selling days over there in China. So take that with a grain of salt. Europe was down 16%. Other markets down 4.5%. So overall, due to the massive boost in the USA and China, Mazda was up 7% compared to the January before. So they're doing well, but it's not all rainbows and unicorns for them. Let's look at Honda. So if we look at production, up 27% in North America. If we look at Asia, up 15%. China's up 20%. That's great news. If we look at domestic sales, well, interestingly, we saw that Mazda was down 30-some%, Toyota down 15% or so. Honda looks to be up in domestic sales about 19%. So they're doing better in Japan relative compared to Mazda and Toyota. If we look at their total sales across the world, up 36%. Honda is on a surge, up 21% in the United States, well, in North America. Asia up to 120%. Again, probably huge benefits coming out of China. Europe, 6%. Others up 300%. So Honda was still reeling a little bit from the supply shortages last January. They are full steam ahead now, and they're seemingly very, very healthy. All right, heading on over to Nissan. How are they doing? We're going to focus on this column right here. We're not going to focus on fiscal year versus fiscal year. We want to see how they're doing in January. Up 22%. Production outside of Japan, up 22%. And certain markets are really struggling right now. That just says others. I don't know what those others. Okay, it says Taiwan, Thailand, South Africa, Brazil, India, Egypt, France, and Argentina. So they're really struggling for production in those external markets. China up 126%, UK up 10%, Mexico up 25%, US production down 11%. and production in Japan up 22%. Crazy how well certain areas are doing, how poor other areas are doing. So let's look at sales again. This column right here, overall up 16%. Sales up outside of Japan doing better than inside of Japan, up 19%. China up 37%. Europe up 37%. North America only up 7.5%. Mexico up 16%. Canada doing well, up 93%. US though, okay, so North America is being boosted by Mexico and Canada because here in the United States, their year-over-year sales are down. That is surprising. Again, remember Mazda year-over-year sales in the United States up 31%, Honda up over 20%, and Toyota up 23%. So the other Japanese automakers besides Nissan are doing well in the United States, but yeah, that's really tough to see. Let's touch on Subaru before we end this. All right, domestic production. So production's skyrocketing for them in the month of January. Global production up 50%. Japan sales are down 4%. And I don't think we have United States or North American sales right now, but we know sales are down for them in Japan like they were for most automakers. I think Honda was the only one that was up in Japan. Maybe Nissan a little bit too, but wow. I'm going to end it there. What do you guys think about reliability and Toyota? Is it slipping? I'll see you guys down below. And despite these recalls, Toyota, Mazda, Honda, Subaru surging ahead with sales in the early part of 2024, while Nissan, at least here in the United States, is cooling off. I'll see you guys down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.